Good day. We are Group 4 with members Lin Thuy Nguyen, Samuel Gaxiola del Barco, Raul Rana, Ananya Sandra, and yours truly, Jamie Julingo, and we will be reporting on our analysis of the company Air Canada and the framework we have chosen for this report. First, let us talk about the company background of Air Canada. Air Canada, founded in 1937, has been the biggest airline in the Canadian market for over 85 years, dominating domestic and international air travel markets. The company has grown to become an essential factor in North American and international aviations. However, despite its prestige in the aviation market, the company still experiences specific challenges in its operations and market accessibility. In our analysis, we have chosen the PESTEL framework. PESTEL is an analysis framework used to assess and examine environmental factors affecting organizational operations. This involves examining and assessing the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors affecting the operations of a company, particularly here, Air Canada, and also would allow us to make insightful recommendations to help address the identified problems and contribute to the company's further development. Let me first discuss the political factors affecting Air Canada. Government policies, regulations, and tax impositions are political factors that have benefited Air Canada and created a political landscape that supports Air Canada's position in the domestic market, limiting its potential competitors and making Air Canada continually improve and increase its total assets over the years. However, an increase in its asset does not indicate that Air Canada has a good financial standing. In fact, Air Canada is still on the verge of recovering from its big financial downturn due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was even reported that Air Canada lost about 1.7 billion in its latest quarter as its revenues fell by 89%. As you can see in the data provided, in the year 2020, the operating revenues of Canadian airline carriers crashed because of travel restrictions and operational disruptions brought by the pandemic. Air Canada was even one of the companies that received financial aid from Canadian government through wage subsidies and loans to help it recover, retain its staff, and put its operations back on track. Next is political stabilization. A stable political situation is crucial for Air Canada's operations because political instability can negatively impact business performance, leading to investor pessimism and affect the company's growth. An incident of this political instability happened in 2020 when Air Canada had to reroute its flights to cross the Middle East due to the dangerous situations arising between the United States and Iran. Another is labor and employment policies. Employment policies and legislations can impact Air Canada's management operations and labor costs, particularly involving employee rights and labor unions. A classic example of this is the pilot strike controversy of Air Canada. This phenomenon disrupted Air Canada's operations and forced its passengers to seek alternative transportation. Recommendations to address political factors would include full engagement in government policies and regulations, where Air Canada should monitor any updates or modifications in any aviation policy and tax regulations for proper management and compliance. It should also formulate operational strategies to adapt to these changes in the regulation. Another is market diversification and management of risk, where Air Canada should have a contingency plan to reduce the potential problems arising from political instability. It could diversify its routes to other, more politically stable markets to reduce the risk of operational disruptions. Air Canada should also be updated on labor laws and regulation to avoid legal disputes and have active participation in its labor union negotiations to avoid workforce management disruption.
We're talking about economic factors that affect Air Canada. We have to talk about the fact that Air Canada operates in the airline industry and it is highly vulnerable to economic fluctuations. This is because air travel comes under discretionary spending and is almost always affected when economic conditions are unfavorable. So you can see in the graphs that are provided that the revenue of airlines worldwide has gone down during the 2008 recession and the 2003 SARS virus spread. And in the most recent downturn, you can see that the Air Canada's operating revenue, along with the revenue of airlines all over the world, fell drastically. Another significant factor that affects the revenue of Air Canada is fuel. Are we really surprised here? Fuel has been a contender of top expenses in every man's life. But for an airlines, it's more important as it forms a substantial portion of an airline's operational costs. So we can see that there have been a rise in fuel cost for Air Canada from 74.7 to 130. That's almost like double the price. And this has been attributable to the geopolitical tensions that have been plaguing Ukraine and other Gulf countries. So this volatility also in like necessitates that there has to be a strategic financial planning and risk mitigating strategies to offset the price changes. Tourism industry and airline industries are undeniably interlinked, and we can see the similarities from the revenue of Air Canada in the recent years and in the past with comparison to contribution of tourism to the GDP of Canada. We can also see from the graph that there has been a resurgence in tourism industry in the recent years after COVID. So this can be an opportunity that Air Canada can very nicely exploit to its advantage. Coming down to the recommendation, the company will undeniably have to maintain a digital infrastructure and also increase its digital presence. And in turn for fuel costs and the fluctuating fuel costs, strategic outsourcing will be a good helping hand for the company in reducing its costs by a lot. Focus on sustainability and cleaner technology and practices will also help it in operating with the regulatory bodies and environment, and also will help in competing with the industry pricing and also competition. Furthermore, even though there is a resurgence of tourism post pandemic, we have to keep an eye on macroeconomic challenges that might change in consumer preferences, such as inflation and rise in interest rates, etc.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rahul Rana. Today I'll be presenting a social analysis of Air Canada applying the Pestel framework. Let's begin. First, let's talk about the demographic shift. The elderly population is growing and traveling more frequently, which require additional services like medical assistance, better seating, and mobility aids. On the other hand, millennials and Gen Z are tech savvy and eco conscious. They demand problem free online services like reservations and check ins, as well as green travel options. Air Canada needs to balance these two generations different needs to stay competitive, as seen in the figure. Next, cultural diversity is another critical factor. With Canada's increasing immigration, cities like Toronto and Vancouver are now multicultural hubs. Air Canada must offer multilingual services and provide meals and entertainment that reflect cultural diversity. These actions are essential in ensuring all passengers, regardless of their background, feel comfortable and valued during their flight experience. Since the COVID 19 pandemic, public health awareness has skyrocketed. Today's passengers expect cleaner cabins, improved air filtration, and contactless services for safety. Although Air Canada has already adopted these measures, it's crucial to continue them as passengers remain conscious of their health. The COVID 19 pandemic led to a sharp decline in Air Canada's passenger numbers, as seen in the graph. Sustainability is also at the forefront of social concerns. Many millennials prefer green travel options that align with environmental values. Air Canada has made efforts to meet these expectations by investing in sustainable aviation fuel and encouraging sustainable practices. These initiatives help the environment and boost Air Canada's reputation among eco-conscious travelers. Now let's talk about the recommendations. Air Canada should design services that cater to both older and younger passengers, tech-savvy travelers as well. This could involve enhancing in-flight comfort for seniors while improving the digital services like app-based bookings and check-ins for younger customers. To reflect the multicultural makeup of Canada, Air Canada should expand its multilingual services and offer culturally diverse meal options, ensuring passengers of all backgrounds feel welcomed with and will enhance customer satisfaction. Continuing to prioritize public health by maintaining stringent cleaning, air filtration, and contactless services will help regain and maintain passenger trust post pandemic. Investing in further sustainable fuel aviations and green technologies will not only meet the environmental expectations of eco conscious travelers but Also position Air Canada as a leader in sustainable air travel.
Hello, my name is Samuel Gagiola, and I'll be talking about the technological factors related to our pestle analysis from Air Canada. Air Canada has always been at the forefront of technological development. They were among the first airlines to use the in-flight oxygen system, like those rebreathable bags we see in old movies. Um, they also were the first airline to introduce electrical de-icing technology. And in North America, they were the first ones, together with United Airlines from the US, to create an interline electronic ticketing system. Now, when analyzing the current technological landscape, we see that the amount of data from the year 2010 to the current year 2024 has increased by 91.5 times, or 9,050%. So with all of this increased amount of information, we also need to adjust in technological infrastructure as well, and that means more infrastructure, more computers, more servers, more labor, etc. And all of that can carry a significant cost. And this especially when we consider that cybersecurity incidents have been increasing in Canada steadily since 2020, and in 2022 like 70% of the Canadian population reported at least one cybersecurity incident in the course of their lives. So my recommendation here for Air Canada would be a strong budget for overall technological infrastructure, so the company can rely well on it. Safeguard passengers' information, as well as the corporate IT resources, and preventing this way any cybersecurity incidents, and encourage internal development in the cybersecurity department as well, to identify potential flaws in the informational systems of the company and repair them. Air Canada is committed to protecting the environment as implementing their environmental policy. Having said that, one of the main problems derived from commercial flight activity is air pollution. Pollutants like sulfur dioxide are among the ones most present in our atmosphere as a result of the combustion in jet engines. Canada, however, has one of the best air quality in the whole world. It is Air Canada's commitment to maintain this condition and to keep Canada being as one of the countries with the cleanest air available. And my recommendation to Air Canada to strive towards this goal would be to implement the use of sustainable aviation fuels, SAFs. These are fuels coming from renewable sources, from non-oil sources, and studies have demonstrated that they lead to a reduction in carbon emissions of at least 50%. So implementing them and making them routine use by the airline could significantly improve their carbon emissions profile.
Hi, my name is Ling, and I will present the final element of legal factors. Two legal aspects impact Air Canada's operation the most right now. The first one is labor laws. Air Canada staff are protected under the Canadian Labor Code legal frameworks. Then, when domestic standards or negotiation fail, strikes become a legal method for resolving disputes, leading to stuck operations as well as serious legal challenges and the potential of long-term financial losses to Air Canada. As you know, lately pilots of Air Canada have struck many times due to the reason of more than 1 year of unresolved labor negotiations following the expiration of their cooperative contracts. The series of strains significantly influenced Air Canada's procedures, specifically during this time when the airline was already facing economic pressures. The second one is environmental compliance. The government posting stricter environmental standards due to climate change, especially in the airline industry. Therefore, they have faced pressure to reduce their carbon footprint. In June 2021, the Canadian government passed the Canadian Net Zero Emissions Accountability Act, requiring the airline to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. To meet those targets, Air Canada must immediately comply and invest more money and resources in its facilities and operations. Up to now, Air Canada has invested $50 million in sustainable fuels, biogas, and renewable electricity. For the recommendation, the airline should follow two major airlines, Delta Airlines and British Airways, who are proactive and regularly discussion with their employees to address their concerns there before they turn into significant disputes. Moreover, the airline should also prepare plans for uh, for the labor strikes, ensuring their operations are expected as little as possible. For the environmental issues, uh, till now, Air Canada has been doing very well with the leaflets program. However, one legal risk that Air Canada should avoid is greenwashing and misleading in marketing activity and public relations, because any misleading or inaccurate claims may lead to legal actions, reputation damage, and a loss of consumer trust. Mm, that finishes my group presentation. Thank you for your listening.